Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Remington Steel Show, featuring the Witchfinder General, Andy 2D6.
It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. Talking about Age of Sigmar and everything else that is cool. We're talking about Warhammer fantasy, it's easy to learn the rules. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night.
You're looking like a bit of a free spirit this evening, Mr. Remington. What's with the jacket there?
I'm about to... Well, I was going to have a shower, and then I got carried away with watching Leicester City on their way to get relegated, and I got engrossed in that, and of course playing Vermintide, and before I knew it, it was 9:30. So I'm going to have to take a rain check on the shower.
Oh dear. Well, it's lucky Smell-O-Vision has not been activated for the Andy and Rem show. This is episode 79, folks, by the way. So, shall we have a look at who we've got in the chat tonight?
Oh, yes, let's.
Let's see who we've got. And they're listed as participants nowadays, not active users list, which I think sounds a little bit better. We've got Andreas Goodmanson, Bazooka J. Rambo, Dreaming Cyborg, Fluffy Dread, Gloomready Gaming, Gubbins, Jacob Lobotka, Mark Harvey, Mega Boss Chomper, I'm assuming that's his real name, Holy Backyard Prophet, Paul Bentley, Peter Magro, Rob Lloyd, Sweet, Ruhark, Skeleton Flower, Slough Witch, and Newbie. And more names being added to the list constantly, so I'm not going to try to keep up with it. Well, Mr. Rem, I know you're not the biggest fan of Stormcast in the world, so I know this is a difficult time for you. Do you think you're going to be able to make it through the show with the huge amount of new Stormcast models that we're going to be looking at?
Will it involve lots of War Scrolls, perchance?
It won't this time.
I think will it involve looking at painted new models?
It will.
That's okay then.
Okay, so we're definitely no longer scraping the bottom of the barrel. We're like elbow deep in a fresh barrel at the moment when it comes to Age of Sigmar content, because it's fairly thick and fast, although people were hoping that we were going to have some armies that weren't Stormcast, and those people are a little bit disappointed at the moment.
Exactly. Well, I read on the Age of Sigmar fan page that the Sigmar War Scrolls amount to 39 now, something like 40 or 39, whereas the entire Death faction amounts to less than that. But there you go.
Yeah, don't the Fire Slayers have something like 10 different War Scrolls? Some obscenely low number, and then just endless Stormcast Eternals. So we've got a lot to dig through this week. So first things first, let's have a look at the old GW website and see what's up on the pre-order section, shall we? So here we go. It's all change, as they say. Now, we've already looked at images of most of these things. Now, some of this stuff, I'm not sure if it's new. I know for a fact that the likes of the Zinchian chariots are new. What about this guy? Have you seen this before?
Oh, of course, yes, the Blue Scribes. Yes, it's a very, very small model, actually. It is so finely detailed, though, and there's some really cool stuff on there, but it is a little bit pricey-dicey for my liking. However,
I've never actually seen this. Let's see what it's made of.
Yeah, it's
fine cast.
That's right, yeah.
I wonder why I've never seen this before.
I don't know. I think it's probably on the expensive side. That should be tenner. They'd fly out at a tenner, wouldn't they?
Quite literally. Let's see what else. So the Changeling, this is the new Changeling model then.
Okay, what was the old one like? I can't remember.
It was fairly similar. Not quite as floaty, by my recollection, and I don't know if it had this many arms.
Yeah,
there's the sprue there. That £20 sprue, what do you think?
Ooh, that's a bit pricey-dicey, isn't it? For my liking. I thought his weapon seems a bit fragile, because as soon as he hits someone on the head with that, Surely the bone's going to shatter.
Well, I'm going to assume that he's not hitting people on the head and he's in fact using it for magical purposes.
Right.
That would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he doesn't have any legs either.
You could say he's completely legless. Look at him.
Yeah, very good. So tell me about the changeling then. What's his story?
Well, shall we read a little bit of his description here?
Okay.
None recognize the presence of the demon known as the Changeling before it is too late. A master of illusory disguise, the Changeling secretes itself amongst its quarry, sowing confusion and misdirection. Upon throwing aside its fleshy masquerade, the Changeling uses trickery and its trickster's staff to openly blast its foes.
Now,
has that given you a bit more of an insight into the Changeling?
Sounds to me a bit like the kind of character I was describing nigh on a month ago, where you get a wizard and he kind of duplicates himself or triplicates himself, and you only kill him if you kill the right one.
Well, there are certain similarities with that, I'm sure.
Interesting.
Now, there was something about this on Warhammer TV the other day. I believe they had a series of narrative battle reports going, and a particular model at the end of the game revealed that he was actually the Changeling in disguise. So, yeah.
Yeah, cool, man. So this is like, I don't know, is this like a leader kind of character, or is it just like a minor character?
Well, shall we have a look at his rules right now?
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's zoom in so people can actually see it. Okay, so, well, he's got 5 wounds, say 5+. Of course, it's going to be all in the special abilities with this guy because he's only got 1 attack. That's not that great. So, Arch Deceiver. At the start of the battle, you can set up the Changeling in your opponent's territory as though it were part of their army. Enemy units treat it as part of their own army. They can move within 3 inches of it, but they cannot target it with spells or attacks. If it attacks, casts, or unbinds a spell or is within 3 inches of an enemy hero in your opponent's hero phase, it is revealed, and this ability is no longer in effect. Right, so you can just have it just lingering among the enemy until the time is right to strike. Puckish Misdirection. Until the Changeling is revealed, you can pick 1 unit within 9 inches of it in each enemy hero phase. That's the enemy hero phase. That unit halves its move. That's pretty tasty. Formless Horror. Instead of using the Trickster staff in the combat phase, you can pick a melee weapon wielded by the target unit and attack with that instead. Again, tasty. And, of course, it can cast a spell.
It's not bad. If you look at the spell it can cast, it can choose a spell of an enemy wizard if it's within 9 inch. Of any wizard within 9 inch of it.
So, yeah, this guy's has the potential to be quite annoying then, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Lingering around enemy lines until they manage to reveal him. That's quite funny. Slowing down the enemy is quite a good one, I would say. Since Tzeentch are going to be using a lot of their long-range spellcasting abilities rather than necessarily flying straight into the fight like some kind of Khorne army would. Okay, so what do you think about him then now, after seeing that?
It's okay. I think, I don't know. I mean, maybe it would be good if you could like not reveal him until like the final couple of turns and then do those special abilities. That could be more annoying then. But
well, you could wait until the last couple of turns. I don't think he's revealed if you use his slow down the enemy ability. So I think you can just be an annoyance until the enemy gets a hero that close to him. But it has to be in the hero phase that he's that close, so you have a chance to run away.
Okay.
But it's unique.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun. Especially for, capturing an objective, maybe. Could be cool.
Indeedly do. So let's have a look at this change host, shall we? See if we think this is worth £160. So what do you get in here? You get lots of horrors. You get the old Changeling, Chariot. You get, of course, the big new Lord of Change.
Now, can I ask, Andy, you get a pink horror. If you kill a pink horror, it turns into 2 blue horrors.
Yes.
And if you kill a blue horror, that turns into one of the little fire horror things.
Yes, it turns into one brimstone horror because technically there are 2 on the base.
Okay, you're going to need a lot of extras, aren't you?
I actually played against these horrors for the first time in a game of 40k the other day, and I think their rules are probably very similar. Right. So it was incredibly annoying having to get through them when they kept splitting, and then the brimstone horrors had 2 wounds as well. So I would assume these do as well.
So there's no point really in fielding any blue horrors. Just field pink horrors, because you're going to get the blue horrors coming out of them.
Well, you would start with the pink, yes, and then the enemy have to actually make them stronger before they can make them weaker. So if you're going to attack them, you have to go all in. You can't just attack them a little bit, because all you're doing is just increasing their numbers. You have to either go all in and just wipe them out, or completely ignore them. Let's see, anything else we want to look at here? Well, let's have a look what's on page 2, shall we? Flamers, yeah, nothing too exciting there. But the blue horrors and brimstone horrors, of course, were first. The brimstone, at least, were introduced in the Silver Tower originally.
Yeah.
And they do look quite funny, don't they? Nice little flamey goodness. Have you painted yours yet?
I've painted one of them. I think I've got another 5 to go. they're not too hard to paint. They're all right. Yeah. Yeah. Have you highlighted the 2-headed? What's his face? Yeah.
The 2-headed what's his face?
Yeah. What's his name? Tzeentch, like.
The 2-headed Tzeentch-like massive thing.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, come on, Andy. Go back to the Tzeentch page. Come on. Must I have to prove everything to you? Literally.
Are you talking about Mr. Where is he?
Oh, yes.
There we go. Kairos Fate Weaver.
That's the one. Look at that, baby. Yes.
Is this the one you want, then?
Yeah. He obviously hasn't got a very good memory because he needs to carry around his book of spells with him. I mean, they only have one spell these days, don't they, wizards? You think they could remember one line?
So if you get the Lord of Change, I assume you'd be building it with 2 heads. But
yeah.
Are you even considering going for a Tzeentchian army at all? Or are you just admiring them from afar?
Nah, just admiring them. Just admiring them. I mean... I got enough armies at the minute. I think. Well, yeah, I have to paint all mine first to consider a new one now.
Speaking of admiring from afar, here's something that people aren't going to be able to get their hands on anytime soon. So, Blood Bowl. I heard the dwarves were out, so I thought, I'll have a quick look, see if they're still available, and naturally, temporarily out of stock on everything apart from the paint set. So, including just the players themselves. The dice obviously were going to be sold out within 2 minutes, and then they're already on eBay for £40, these dice, when they were available for 7. So
are they in the shops yet?
No. And no one actually has them in their hands yet, but people have them on eBay already for £40.
I went into my local shop on Sunday, and they had the Tzeentch dice. They had about four packs of them.
Yes, the shops will get some that aren't available for pre-order, I would imagine. But obviously, you have to get there early if you really want them.
Now, I think it's a really cool deal that you get £20. £20 buys you a team. I think
£27 for the team and the dice was a really good deal, which is, of course, out of stock.
So what are they? Are they 10-sided dice, then?
Well, there's a variety of different dice in there for all the different rolls you have to make in a game of Blood Bowl.
They look cool, don't they?
They do. I've been reliably informed that there are other companies out there that produce similar dice themed to particular factions for Blood Bowl. So if you don't want to pay the £40 or £50 it would take to get a new set of these dice on eBay, then there are alternatives out there if they don't bring them back in stock.
I'm sure there will. Let's look at the dwarves. Come on, Andy. It's been too long since we've seen a dwarf. Wow, look at that. You could easily, convert these, couldn't you, for usage in Age of Sigmar?
Well, I don't think you'd want to do that just yet, because you'd want to hold off and wait for the Steamhead Dwarven, which, of course, must be next.
Well, the armour of these guys is very similar to the Longbeards that come out maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And if you just twirl that round, Andy, to his back there, look at that. You could easily put a set of wings on this guy, couldn't you? And it would be like in Flash Gordon, like the Birdmen, Brian Blessed.
It would look a lot like him, actually.
That's a good idea for a unit, that, I think.
Flying dwarves with really huge beards that they just swipe at people as they fly by.
Yes.
But yeah, the helmets and everything, they are reminiscent of the last batch of dwarf releases. The Ironbreakers, the Iron Drakes, and so on. More so than the old school dwarves, definitely.
Now, why has he got a skull? That other one had a skull hanging from his belt. What's the use of that?
A skull hanging from his belt.
Yeah,
Which one was that? This one.
Yeah, what's he got that there for? If I was his coach, I'd tell him to remove that immediately.
What kind of creature skull is that?
I would say it's a gobbo. But I could be wrong. I often am.
Maybe it's just his lucky charm. Maybe it was the first enemy player he killed in the course of a game.
He's got white socks on as well, hasn't he? That's kind of cool.
They do look pretty snazzy, though. It's an interesting paint style they've gone for here.
What I love about these models is that they're really animated, whereas the Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar dwarves look a lot more static. These guys look like they're really kind of, you could put a shield on him, it'd look great.
They do, but they're not hanging too far off the base, which I like. Especially for a game where you're playing on a grid, you don't want them overhanging too much.
Right.
One thing about the paintwork, though, do you agree that it's a little more abstract paintwork than usual?
They're a lot more fawny colours, aren't they? I got this colour the other day, I hadn't seen before. Dark Reaper Citadel, and it looks like the colour of his jersey.
It's just a little bit strange compared to the usual look, like it was painted by somebody else. It looks almost like a canvas painting, doesn't it?
Yeah, they usually go for like quite stark red, whites, and blues and greens.
Very unusual. Maybe they've hired a new batch of painters.
Yeah, I like it.
Rambo says they look a bit dull, the colours.
Yeah, but then it makes the gems and the beard stick out more.
Well,
I like these guys. They look great, man. What do dwarves like to play with then in Blood Bowl?
I don't know. I've never played them in Blood Bowl. I only played Chaos Warriors and Beastmen back in the day.
I imagine they're good. They're sort of solid, aren't they? Solid wall.
By the way, Mickey Jenver says that your Hawkman conversion is a very good idea, and she's sorely tempted to go ahead with it.
Brian Blessed's Hawkman. Gordon's alive. Fantastic.
Right, so let's stop that for a minute. So, of course, there are going to be an awful lot of Stormcast images that we're going to look at very shortly. But before then, I think we should delve into a deeply serious and controversial matter, which came up over the last couple of days. GW were contacted by the animal rights group PETA over their use of the depiction of fur on their miniatures. For example, woven cloaks on Space Marines. Now, is there anyone out there that doesn't think this is a little bit silly?
I think it's really silly. It's not even worth mentioning, is it really? I mean, what does PETA stand for?
Well, I can tell you because I actually looked it up a minute ago. Let me just check here. Because I'd heard of them before, but I wasn't sure what it actually stood for. People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
People... Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I don't know. Why should Games Workshop listen to them? They didn't listen to their clientele for the last 25 years. 29 years. So why should they suddenly start listening to these kind of groups? It's a bit preposterous, isn't it?
Yeah. However, on the one hand, though, there have been people who have been arguing against it in what I think is the wrong way. They've been saying, well, it's not the real world, so why does it matter? And I don't think that is the right way to argue it, because there are certain things in the real world that you wouldn't want represented in a miniatures game. For example, you wouldn't want like an orc wagon and they're like chopping the limbs off of human babies on the back of it, for instance. That's not something you'd want in your tabletop game, is it? So there is definitely a line.
Kind of gruesome stuff happening on a lot of models. Let's face it.
Yeah, but there is definitely a line that they wouldn't cross and that you would expect them not to cross, isn't there? Okay. So it's not completely black and white like that. However, when it comes to animal fur, if civilization suddenly collapsed, then I think bottom of the priority chain would be the rights of animals to hold on to their fur and for them to be humanely treated. Because at the end of the day, once humans lose the ability to create their own fabric, that's kind of where you have to get it from, isn't it?
Well, listen, right, the old world's just been completely annihilated, and civilization as we knew it in the old world has been completely destroyed. So come on, give these guys a chance. They're just trying to survive.
Because, of course, the fur trade is a pretty heinous and terrible thing if you've ever seen any documentaries on it. But I'm pretty sure that, for example, Space Marines aren't like battery farming wolves and then skinning them while they're still alive and all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure that's not written into the fluff at all. So I'm not sure what they're getting at exactly.
Well, I don't know. I can't talk too candidly because I get told off in the comments later on. So yeah, I don't know. Live and let live, man. I mean, we could have plastic fur, right? We already do. It's plastic.
I think we can agree it's very, very silly. Right then, are you ready for some things that aren't silly at all?
I do. Oh, by the way, Andy, I forgot to tell you, I have some hobby advice. A new Remington suggestion slot.
Is this $1 million idea?
No, but it's just very sensible ideas that. Well, basically, shall I tell you now? Little hobby tip.
Go on then.
Little hobby tip. So I went on a bit of a rant because so many of my Citadel paints, after not using them for like 6 weeks or so, half dried up and turned into a sort of a Nurgle-like glue, basically. And, I ranted on a few notice boards and whatnot. And a few people said, including yourself, Andy, make sure you scrape your pots properly and you close your pots properly. And I was like, what? I do close my pots. And then I looked very closely and I noticed a lot of the pots were sort of 6/8 closed with a little kind of, you're not going to see it there, but a little pocket at the back, like a little air bubble where paint has dried. And I looked very closely, opened the top of the paint, and I realised, bloody hell, there is dried paint on the inside, and even the smallest amount. I'm just getting a knife here, but you could use a scraper or a little cocktail.
You probably want to use something that won't take your finger off if it slips out.
Oh yes, I do have a few cuts and bruises because of that. But just for the sake of quickness, I've just scraped out a bit here that's stopping the paint pot from closing, and thereby over time, you see that? Thereby over time making the paint dry. So that's hobby tip number 1. See, it wasn't too bad. Now I've got blue fingers. And the second tip is I actually got from Vince Venturella when he stayed over at this flat. And he actually stayed in this room. But I told him, do you know what? My metallic paints, they're the ones that always dry up the quickest. Silvers and golds especially. And he gave me a pretty cool tip. If you've got an old metal miniature or the base of a miniature, chop a bit of the metal off, plop the metal into the paint pot. That is Stormhost Silver. It's not far off getting dried up there. And also, when you shake it as much as you can and apply the paint, and it's very thin still. Doesn't seem to give you that shine. And so what Vince said, what happens is that all the pigment goes to the bottom and becomes so thick that even when you shake it, it doesn't mix in with all the other chemicals and whatnot. So you put a bit of metal in there, and what it does, it shakes up all the thick paint at the bottom and mixes it all up again. So I tried that, and it's actually worked pretty well. You're not going to hear the fact that this has got a chunk of metal inside it, but it really, really has worked.
Is this going to send your painting to the next level?
It's certainly going to save me a few quid. I'll give it that much. There you go. That one. This is Gennon's Gold, and it's really shaking properly now because there's a chunk in there. Yeah.
I may have to attempt that with some of my new Citadel metallic paints because those are notoriously difficult to deal with. They get very, very, very solid very, very quickly.
I mean, look, I've just literally with my hands, I've just pulled off that much dried paint off the side of that, which was stopping the top from closing. So there you go. And there you go. That's 2 golden nuggets for you all.
Well, now that you've all been nuggeted up, if you're ready for some more gold, here we go. Because this is pure gold indeed. So look at this. We've got Stormcast. So this is reboxing of Judicators and Liberators in boxes of 10, soon to be arriving, rather than 5. And I'm hearing on the old grapevine that the price per model is going to be reduced significantly.
What is it at the minute then? About 30 quid?
At the moment, you're looking at about 30 for 5 models.
Wow.
And the word on the street is that when it goes up to 10 models, the price isn't going up that vastly. So maybe something in the region of £40 for 10. So very good value compared to the old boxes, definitely, if that is the case. We'll have to wait and see, though. If anyone has seen confirmation of any of the prices, then do drop in a comment and let us know. But very, very exciting if that is the case. So all the Stormcast enthusiasts out there can be fielding larger armies with less of a financial outlay. Next up, now this is one of the new images that we saw. Initial impressions as soon as you saw these images of Stormcast riding giant griff horses.
The leader guy, it looks awesome. I love that bird. I mean, the bird looks like an ostrich with 4 legs. It looks like it would be kind of tasty to, you know, roast on a spit if you got hungry in the desert. So it kind of has a dual purpose. But the other ones I need to look more closely at. I'm not sure about those.
Well, if you want to have a closer look at this guy.
I mean, look at that.
Do you think it looks better than a Dracoth?
Yeah.
Do you think it was necessary for the Stormcast Eternals to have 2 monstrous cavalry units?
Well, I'm imagining that the difference is that these guys have less of a saving throw, but they've got more of a movement phase or something like that.
I would imagine so, yes. But don't you think that it's a little bit odd that they give these to the Stormcast Eternals when they could have used these as mounts for any number of new races?
100% agree. I mean, these would be brilliant on like Dark Elves or don't know. What other races could they work for? Even lizard men. You know, lizard men riding 4-legged cockatrices.
I mean, you could use your imagination and come up with any kind of race that you could plonk on the back of these birds. I don't think it had to be Stormcast since they've already got their own monstrous beasties that they're riding around on. I think it was a little bit unnecessary. Yeah.
I mean, also, Dracoths, they've got, what, 5 wounds, right? 4 wounds?
Maybe. Yeah, they've got about 5 wounds each.
These have had slightly less, but I think they look brilliant.
Something for the chat, by the way, folks. Drop in the comments races that you would rather see either riding on these creatures or just released in general instead of more Stormcast.
I think it could have just made it better if instead of Stormcast, they could have had like 3 people riding them, like a bit more like naked rather than covered in gold armor.
Yeah, you could certainly have smaller kind of human knights riding them.
I mean, I imagine it's incredibly difficult to mount one of those things when you're wearing all that gear.
Well, it depends how tame they are.
Yeah, I think they'd probably need a crane to lift someone up and plant them down.
Skeleton Flower says the Dracoths look very stiff and these look a bit more alive. There's definitely more movement in the poses here. Dracoths are much more of an imposing sight, though, I think. Although this one,
love it.
Not to be sniffed at either, is it?
I love that. You can see that being used in lots of painting competitions, can't you?
Newbie thinks we should see fishmen on the back of these.
Oh, that'd be great, man. Yeah. What's that ball that's hanging off his?
Well, we don't know. It could be a grenade.
Yeah.
Could be like a holy hand grenade. Also, we've got these guys who happen to be wearing fur, which is probably how that topic came up.
Now, that guy in the middle with the head, you can see his head.
Yes. Just for people that weren't sure whether there was a spirit floating around in there. Now, of course, we've got the bare human head.
Not that I want to harp on about it too much, but if you could just lock onto my picture a second. I painted this about 10 months ago. You see that?
Yes.
Just saying.
Yeah, they have definitely stolen your idea there of a white bearded or a white haired flowing in the breeze Stormcast Eternal.
Just saying. And yet the community treats me like an utter joke. It's pathetic.
By the way, Stu Gibson says that round thing is a celestial compass and not a holy hand grenade.
Oh.
So these are your light Stormcast, if you will, with their tiny little crossbows and swords. So you would imagine that the Stormcast would have had kind of human companions that would fulfill this kind of role in the army rather than using the Stormcast.
Pygmies would have been ideal.
Stormcast pygmies. I wouldn't hold my breath on that one.
No.
Okay. What do you think? Griffhounds in a full unit. So this was one of the original images that we saw, and then of course we had this.
Yeah, these are wicked, aren't they?
They certainly are. Would you paint them all in different colours, or would you make them uniform?
Yeah, no, I'd go for the colours. I like that. I think if they're anything like the Griffhounds that you get in the Silver Tower, they're really small. A lot smaller than they seem. But, yeah, I mean, do you think you get these are separate things, or do they come with the crossbow guys?
I think these will be on their own, probably.
Uh-huh.
Oh, by the way, Gary Waddingham says that the compass allows them to set up on any table edge.
That seems fair. So it's like they now have the extremist chamber, which is like the heavy cavalry elite. You've got the basic Stormcast Eternals, and now you've got the what do you call these guys? I don't know. They're like Ranger Stormcasts, aren't they?
There is a name for this particular chamber, but I can't remember what it is now.
Is it Vanguard?
Something like that. Someone will know exactly what it is and drop it in the chat any second. Then we've got birds.
Oh, I've not seen them.
So these are very much like the bird that is on the Knight Venator that he flings through the air to peck people.
They could be used for wood elves, couldn't they? Great eagles.
They could. But I think these are quite tasty as well. And if I were to get some of these and paint them the same way I painted the bird on the Knight Venator, then they would be very, very quick indeed, because it was just a lot of dry brushing. And models like this lend themselves to that because there's a lot of texture going on since they're so feathered and lots of edges to work with. And they seem to be surrounding a particular model there. And I remember you painted one of these without using any undercoat, isn't that right? No base coat or no primer?
I dusted it. But you know, I do like painting a bird or two.
Well, maybe you'll have to pick up a unit of these then and get to grips with them. Next, Stormcast with more impressive crossbows.
That's like a triple crossbow.
It is. And there's another image, I think, somewhere. There we go. Look at that. Now you can see their bases actually look slightly longer than his, don't they? So it's got a little stick coming down there to hold it up. So I'd imagine it's like a bolt thrower being held by a Stormcast Eternal.
It's like a Skaven Giselle, but a crossbow.
So this will be your Stormcast artillery, pretty much. Which is something that, of course, they don't have yet. So that'll be nice. Mega Boss Chomper says auxiliary chamber.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, the problem with all this, Andy, is there's going to be so many people with Stormcast armies that they're going to have to play each other. So you'll have like Stormcast v Stormcast. And then the inevitable thing is that you're going to have Dark Stormcast. So,
well,
you know?
think about how successful 40k is, but something obscene like I don't know the exact number, but let's just assume that 75% of all 40k players play Space Marines. Yet they still sell a huge amount, and people don't get angry that they're facing other Space Marines all the time. Of course, the one thing Stormcast don't have at this stage is any real discernible difference between the different groups. They don't have chapters as such that most people are aware of. I'm sure in the fluff there are different sections of the Stormcast Eternal Army that have slightly different motivations or whatever.
Yeah, they are. There's like the Hammers of Sigmar and they've all got different names.
Yeah, but to the untrained eye, they're all kind of the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
There isn't the same kind of diversity that you would have even with Space Marines because they've had many, many years to differentiate themselves.
I think they need as good as some of these models are, I think they should stop now with the Stormcast.
Did you not think that about 8 months ago as well?
Yeah, they've got to stop now. That's it. It's enough.
And also, what do you think of this? Little tokens.
War Scroll cards. So what do you do? Do you cut these out?
Well, presumably you do. Or you'll just get them in a little set and pop them out of the card. And then they are for particular items that you can give to your Stormcast Eternals, which presumably will be in the new book. So you can keep track of which unit has which item and so forth.
Yeah, all right, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice touch. I'm a fan of that. Okay, so that is all the Stormcast.
Wow. That's 40 minutes of Stormcast, that was, Andy.
Well, technically, we've only been on the Stormcast for about 13 minutes.
Oh. Felt like 40.
To a non-believer. So, let's see. Newbie says he gets angry seeing Space Marines all the time. And he's a bit of a 40k fanatic. He also thinks the crossbows are huge and daft. Although Bazooka J. Rambo counters that by saying they're superhuman so they can lift them. Stu Gibson thinks the Stormcast civil war is inevitable.
Yeah, it's going to happen. There's going to be Chaos Stormcast, isn't there?
Do you think they are going to be Chaos Stormcast, though?
Yeah, I think you're going to get like Nurgly Stormcast, you're going to get Zinchi, you're going to get Slanish. That's where Slanish comes into it, surely. You'll get Stormcast with tentacle arms. You heard it here first, folks.
I don't think we did hear it here first. I think people have been speculating on this since Age of Sigmar was first announced. That there would be evil, dark Stormcast at some point in the future. So I don't know if we can really claim that that rumor was started by us.
Or what about like undead Stormcast? Because that's where, when like a Stormcast team gets killed, each time they lose a bit themselves. So they're just like, there's nothing left but the shell of metal. And the will of a necromancer telling them what to do.
If a necromancer got hold of some holy Stormcast armor and infused it with the evil spirits, perhaps.
So, just to change the subject, I don't know if you saw Warhammer Weekly.
I did catch quite a bit of that, actually.
This week they had a special guest on their show. Definitely worth seeing if you haven't seen it. It is the guy from Warhammer TV, and he's kind of like the guy that engages with all the community, which is pretty cool, I think.
I think they described him as the human face of the community. The community department, if you will.
He's called Rufio Symes on Facebook, and I met up with him at Warhammer World when Vince went up, and he's really, really nice, really friendly. So
I think that's one of the requirements of being the public face of a huge company like that.
Yeah, so I think it's a good thing. Maybe we could have him on our show. Whether he'd stoop to the depths of Andy and Remington remains to be seen.
Well, if you've been to Warhammer World and been mingling with all these people, then you should be using your connections for the good of the show, shouldn't you?
I will try. I think he was sort of more interested in seeing Vince, but then again, Vince had travelled from across the other side of the world to be there, so it's kind of fair enough.
To be fair, Vince is the star of his show, and I'm not sure the same can be said for you.
That's right. I'm as evidenced by the YouTubers Awards fiasco. I am the +1 of this show, and hence it's clear that.
Well, yes, it was officially voted that I am the ultimate battle reporter in the entire wargaming community, not just Age of Sigmar. So surely it would have been wrong to present you with a certificate, since you only contributed to, what, 4 of those battle reports?
4 of the best ones, might I add. The ones with the singing on and the ones with the best painted armies on. But, just saying.
I don't know, people really love the porkening.
I'm just a +1.
Poor Remington. When's going to be your time in the sun, Mr. Rem?
I don't know. I do star in my latest band's video, though, if that tickles anyone's fancy. And we have our own Vivo channel now, which is pretty cool, which means that we are now on the kind of A/B list in the pop world. So if you look up Uncle Frank, Love Lion, you'll see Remington here playing the part of a gangster who fixes a real-life fight between 2 bare-chested men. It's pretty awesome. It looks like a film. Have you ever seen the film Snatch or Lock, Stock and Two Barrels?
I haven't, but I get the idea.
You get the idea. It's murky British crime. It's good. It's good, but it could do with some extra subs and likes. So get on there and like it. Have a look. Uncle Frank Love Lion.
And you can definitely post that on the old Andy and Rem Show Facebook group for the people that may wish to see that as well, can't you?
I will. And be pretty cool to have your support. And then I wouldn't feel so bad about being the +1 of the Warhammer world.
I did notice that in one of the band's new images, you are kind of just really way in the background, smaller than everybody else.
Well, we did take a few photos where I was at the front, but because it was like a fisheye lens, I just looked kind of like a troll. I didn't really look like it didn't look good. So I think I look better from a distance when you squint your eyes than when you look at me close up.
I'm not going to disagree with that one.
Yeah.
A couple of people are saying that we're maybe being a bit harsh on you here, and that your abilities are perhaps being undersold. Do you think there's more to Remington than meets the eye, perhaps?
Well, I write the songs and play most of the instruments, if that matters at all. Probably doesn't, but there you go. Matters to me.
The life of a Remington.
Yeah.
So much hard work, so little recognition.
That's right. But, I'm always there. I'm like the wizard behind the curtain, you might say.
Behind the curtain. That should be the name of your next album.
More longevity than being in the limelight.
Fluffy Dread says that's exactly what his wife says about Rem. Better from a distance with squinted eyes.
It's a man after my own heart there.
Although Newbie does suggest that you are the Optimus Prime of the wargaming world. So I assume he was talking about you.
That's very kind. Skeleton Flower says, I only listen to music from Japan, but I will give it a chance. Now, on that subject, Love Lion is actually a double A side. The other side of the record, so to speak, is called Tokyo. And there's a video for that coming out soon. So, Skeleton Flower, give Tokyo a chance if you don't like the Love Lion.
Well, there you go. Now, folks, someone just commented a minute ago. Who was it? There we go. Mega Boss Chomper says, what faction does everyone else want next? So, while Remington and I discuss which faction we want to see next in a very unpredictable manner, there's no way you could figure out what I'm going to say. Everyone else, drop your comments in there, and then we'll discuss each of them, as long as they're not too silly. So, Mr. Rem, which faction do you want to see to break up this stream of Stormcast that we've had for well over a year?
Well, we've got Birdmen or Monkey Men or Fishmen or Halflings on Zen clouds. So I think they'd be pretty good, like halfling illusionists on clouds. They'd be wicked. Fast movement.
Halfling floaters, really.
Halfling floaters, yeah. Yeah, that's you could say, yeah, halfling floaters. They could have like, halfling shooty guys on clouds. And these clouds would be, there'd be like a wizard with big cheeks blowing hot air, creating these clouds. Or like when you at a fun fair and you're blowing bubbles, you have halflings in bubbles as well, protective mystic shields. There you go. That's my idea for faction. Zen halflings. I suppose you can't use the word halfling, so you have to kind of have a play on words with that. But
well, obviously, I think that the Steamhead Dwarden should be next.
Steamhead Dwarden.
They should have been next. Since Age of Sigmar came out.
I just think of the ideas, but I'll let you get the credit for them, Andy.
As far as an original faction, I don't think Fishmen are going to become a reality, unfortunately for you. That's been one of your long-time wishes, I know. But perhaps a race of magical horn juice spraying unicorns, led, of course, by Cecil. What do you think about that one, folks? I think that could be quite a good one.
I think we hear tumbleweed. That's what we hear.
That's only because the audience don't have microphones. You would have heard like gasps of anticipation otherwise.
Now we've seen hints at elves. Few people have written elves.
Yeah, Rob Lloyd Sweet, Andreas Goodmanson have both said elves with varying amounts of exclamation marks.
Now the elf that we've seen is the one from the Silver Tower, which is more like a kind of changeling, but with two arms. So they're kind of like hot air with a cloak and a mask on. So,
maybe your halflings can ride around on these elves that are like cloudy, spiritual elves.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I just like to see faces. I like painting faces. So I don't want, faces to be too covered up. So that's my worry, because I think they're going to bring out a faction of like a mixture of high elves and dark elves called the Mist Weavers, something like that. And they're just kind of like spirit, fluffy, just hot air with a gas mask on.
It must be quite difficult for you if you like to see faces close up, but you don't want anyone else to see your face unless it's really far away through squinted eyes. That must be a difficult balance to strike.
Yeah, maybe I should wear a mask. I did used to wear masks in videos. People thought I was a bit weird. So I stopped.
There's an intro on some of your old videos where you're running through a field with a sword, isn't there?
Yeah, that was a pop video that I made in 2009. Where it was like a movie script where I was like this samurai running through a forest in Leicester.
I'm sure there were plenty of samurai.
Seemed like a good idea at the time. My friend driving the car and holding a camera to the window at the same time while I was running through Leicester Forest East on a Sunday afternoon, wearing what do you call it? A kabuki thing. Can't remember what you call it. Full samurai dress coat. Anyway,
Sure, I remember something in the news around that time about the mysterious Leicester slasher.
I did have very long hair as well to rival your old haircut, Andy. It was pretty swish.
I don't think it rivals Skeleton Flower's hair length, though.
Nothing could. No, nothing could.
He's like almost at Cousin It levels.
So someone said they'd like to see my Dark Elf army, which I really enjoyed playing. And I've got a very good record, in fact, against Andy. Never lost with my well, actually, I have. Almost won with my Dark Elves. Never lost with the Ogres.
You've got an excellent record, but a really bad memory.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to bring them back. There's some great figs in there. I always regret not making the Hydra and instead making the other thing with the big maw mouth. Can't remember what it's called. Begins with K. The big dual monster kit.
What is that thing called again? I can't even remember what it's called right now. You never actually saw those, did you? Everyone just took the Hydra instead.
Except me. I wish I did the.
Oh, the Charybdis, that's
the
it.
Charybdis, yeah. Charybdis. I just wish the Hydra model was just slightly better. I was so looking forward to that being amazing, but it kind of looked. Thing is, someone put a picture up when that come out of all the Hydra heads with these top hats on. Like they all look really clownish, and that kind of put me off making it. But yeah, still great army, some cool figs.
Yeah, your Dark Elves, the bases are very nice on them, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all very coherent. They're all like sea bases. Still got like about 30 of their models to paint. I've got a bunch of the Corsairs and a bunch of Archers. But good thing about Age of Sigmar is, you get 10, 15 in a regiment and you're kind of good there. You don't need 30 really anymore. So maybe I should give some away.
There have been calls in the chat here for you to do a Wargaming Tips series, dressed in samurai gear.
Okay. Yeah, what could we call it? Remington's Bonsai Weekly. Bonsai Cuts.
I'm sure if we ask the audience for suggestions, we'll get a few really witty, clever ones, and then we'll get just an endless stream of terrible names.
Do I get to wear a mask?
Well, I think you probably should. If you have the option of wearing a mask, I would go ahead with that, yes.
That's a deal.
Are you ready to play the theme song of your favourite segment of the week?
Yes. Always ready.
Okay, here we go. So, folks, it's time for What the Hell Is That? Anyone who's unfamiliar, I'm going to show you a picture of an extreme close-up of part of a miniature currently available on the Games Workshop website in the Age of Sigmar range. The first person to successfully name it in the chat will go on the list of potential prize winners for the next time a prize is given away. And this list is getting quite hefty right now, so it's not going to be long until we give away another prize. So, Mr. Remington, if you would like to play us into What the Hell Is That?
What the hell is that? What the hell is that? What the hell is that? What the hell is that? What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Only Andy and Bennington know.
Well, folks, what the hell is that? Bazooka J. Rambo says carpet. No, it's not carpet.
Is it something to do with the banned fur trade?
No, it's not. Gary Waddingham says Dryker. Nope.
Are they
not
frog eggs?
Bazooka J. Rambo is just listing items rather than miniatures, so I'm not going to read his answers anymore.
Is it a pygmy regiment?
It is not. Rural Goblin says Saurus Shield. No, it's not. Beauvoir says Carnosaur. Dreaming Cyborg says a lot of pixels, which technically would be correct, but I will need you to name the miniature. Rob Lloyd Sweet says Bastillodon. Nope. Newbie, of course, guesses nothing but 40k miniatures, which cannot be correct. Let's see. Dreddy says it's a NASA photo. No, it's not. NASA did not take this picture, to the best of my knowledge. Dreaming Cyborg, is it the Skuld base from the Hero base set? No, it's not. I can tell you right now that these are not skulls. You may find that surprising, but they are not. I'm going to zoom in and out a little bit. Oh, we actually have a winner right now. So there was an incorrect guess from Andreas Gudmundsson, who said cockatrice. No, it's not. But Slough Witch, with the correct answer, it is in fact the chainmail danglage of the White King.
Wow, did someone get that right?
Yes, they did.
Wow, that was great. Well done.
Indeed, look at that. And look at that.
Wow.
Excellent. So
brilliant.
Well done to Slough Witch, who is going on the list.
Now, Andy, did you used to watch Dallas?
No.
Well, everyone knows that there was about 2 years worth of Dallas episodes, which were all a dream.
Is that what you're hoping the last several years of your life have been?
They have been quite dreamlike, I suppose. But what if Age of Sigmar was all a dream?
But whose dream would it be?
Many people's dreams. It could be kind of like the Mistweaver misting a fog of dreams over the old world. And like Teclis has a dream. Boris Todbringer has a dream. Franz Ferdinand, or even Karl Franz, has a dream. And there you go. What if that happened? That'd be pretty funny. And they all went back to square bases as well.
That would make a few people very, very angry, definitely.
Now, if Games Workshop was really Willy Wonka, it would do something like that in a couple of years' time.
If they've wanted to take it all back, you mean? Because they decided if Age of Sigmar was just a complete flop, which it clearly isn't, if it had been, then they could just take it all the way back to 8th edition. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then they would release the next version of Age of Sigmar and just call it like Teclis's Dream World. I'm not sure about this idea, Mr. Rem. I'm not sure if it's got legs. If anyone thinks this is a great and amazing idea and would like to put a dollar value on it, I don't think it's quite $1 million, but drop in the old chat there if you think it has any kind of value at all. Let's see, Mickey Jenver says, yes, they will come out and say, yeah, we were just joking about the round bases. I don't know how well that would go down with the community. But people seem to be liking this, actually. Skeleton Flower says that would be the only thing that made me dislike the AOS fluff even more. So he's not a fan of that idea. Josh Joy says it's worth £3.50, that idea of yours, Mr. Rem.
$3.50? No, millions, my friend, millions.
I'm not sure about that one. Okay, shall we look at some images of painted miniatures from the Facebook group that people have posted? The wonderful community out there.
Yes, do it. There's been some awesome stuff. I mean,
yes,
everything. The standard's just ridiculous these days, isn't it? It's just
let's
so
cast
good.
A critical eye over some of this then. So this is from Cameron, and this is the Demon Prince Be'lakor, I think his name is.
Yeah. He plays heavily in the end times, Be'lakor. Yeah, great fig that.
What do you think of this? I like the basing. I'm not sure what he's actually used to do this, whether it's cork or not.
Is it polystyrene?
I don't know, because you would imagine if it was cork, it wouldn't have that kind of dimpled look on top.
Interesting that. I like the fact that his sword is just like the lava, because it's like if you get hit by the sword, then you die and you go into the lava earth and you become part of the red hot molten flame.
Very tasty indeed.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay, next.
You can't see me right now, by the way, can you?
No. Why?
Okay.
Are you doing something that you don't want the people to see?
I'm just picking my nose.
Well, that was wonderful for us to know. Okay, this is from, of course, friend of the show, Amy Snuggs.
Amy's back, and she's right. She's back with a bang.
Back into the thick of the action with these very ghostly-looking creatures here.
This is so cool.
Which colour do you think stands out the most here? I think the blue, definitely. But it doesn't completely overshadow the rest of it. The top of the torso in that kind of ghostly green stands out quite a bit as well, doesn't it?
This reminds me of sherbet. And I do like sherbet.
It looks as though the tree part is more within the physical realm, and then the weapons and the torsos are kind of ghostly, doesn't it?
They're just brilliant models, these.
Very
Love
interesting contrast there.
And I thought, talking about prices, Andy, I thought these were a bit overpriced. I know they're fabulous models, but I always thought you should get 10 for 30 quid. Or 10 for 25, you know? But hey-ho. Brilliant. Well done, Amy.
Okay, this is from Rimker. And isn't this delightfully disgusting?
Oh, wow.
I don't know whether he's painted that or whether he's just kind of taken a tissue out of his pocket after he's had a really bad cold all day and squeezed it into this little pot here and then mounted his nurglings in it.
It's like they're rising out of a cauldron of pus. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Deliciously disgusting. I'd be interested to find out what he's used to create that slime effect. Because surely it can't just be a regular paint.
I do like the way Nurgle characters talk in the fluff. I really like that. Don't know if you've ever heard any of the audiobooks.
Would you like to do a quick impression of a Nurgle character?
Oh, Papa Nurgle is delighted with the putrid smell of this one. Come have a nibble of my chocolate rotten raisin.
If anyone isn't going to have nightmares as a result of that, I'll be very surprised. Next, these are from, of course, the very, very real and genuine, not at all false name of Holy Backyard Prophet. Spider Riders.
These
very, very colourful.
They're not easy to paint, these fellas. I think they're really fiddly to paint. They're really small as well. So they've done a great job there.
By the way, we've just had an update on what paint was used for this. It is apparently Nurgle Rot, and it's currently sold by GW. So there you go.
Yeah, nice. I've got that. I think you must have done multiple layers there. Yeah,
these are very, very tasty.
I think they missed a trick there, not releasing more Forest Goblin models. Because you've got the hero, you've got the big boss on this big spider. You got the giant arachnoid.
Well, we've got scuttlings now, where the spider has been combined with the goblin, so maybe we'll see more of those.
Yeah, and you've got these guys.
You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see a new Arachnarok, where it's as big as an Arachnarok, but it has like the body of a goblin on top of the spider.
Oh, that'd be gross, man.
Next, this is from Max, and obviously it is a member of the Khorne Bloodbound.
Nice.
Very striking red and gold, classic Khorne, and you can see there's quite a lot of blood on the axe there. Did you put blood on the weapons of any of your Bloodbound?
Yeah, I did. Back in the day, I used to put real blood because I used to cut my fingers so much trying to slice metal. But these days, you've got blood for the blood god.
Yeah, these days you don't have to shed actual blood to paint your miniatures, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Good show, Max.
This is from Natasha. Of course, skinks.
Yeah, these are wicked, man. These are actually some of the best skinks I've ever seen, I think.
It's an interesting colour scheme. You don't normally see skinks in this particular colour, do you?
I like that. They look like old lizard, wrinkly lizard flesh. Which is, I think, how they would really look, rather than just sort of bright blue.
Yeah, often you do see them very bright, don't you? But these are very, very nice and pale. And then the shields are providing a bit of colour, aren't they?
Yeah, again, not easy to do because these are very small models.
Very, very nice indeed. And finally, this isn't even a complete model. This is just the base and the swirly bits of the Celestant Prime.
That's just ridiculous, isn't it? Look how good that is. Wow. That's brilliant, that is. You could put anything on top of that, couldn't you? You could put like the vampire girls from the thingy chariot for vampire counts. Look awesome.
Lots of individual little comets swirling around.
The colours are so gorgeous as well.
Very, very nice indeed. So I'm sure we're all looking forward very much to see what it looks like when it's completed with the Celestant Prime actually mounted upon it in all his glory. I think that's going to look pretty sweet. Even the rocks under the swirly bits looking pretty tasty as well, aren't they?
Yeah, fantastic, man.
Very, very nice indeed. Well, that's all of them for this show. So, of course, folks, don't forget to drop all your painting work, and even if it's a work in progress and you want some advice or any terrain you're working on, anything at all Age of Sigmar related, drop it in the Andy and Rem Show Facebook group. If you're not a member, there's a link in the description, of course.
What are you painting at the moment, Andy?
Well, at the moment, I'm painting a couple of things. First of all, I still need to finish this guy, this Griffhound. I still haven't finished it yet.
All right, yep.
So I'm going to be hoping to finish that very soon, because if I can't figure out how to paint one of them, then how am I going to possibly buy a full unit of them?
Yeah.
So I need to get that done at some point. And then, not Age of Sigmar related at all, but I've got these balls, which I'm painting as well, which are kind of like squigs, so it's fantasy related, of course, which I'm going to be using in my Kings of War Goblin army.
Okay. Are they Kings of War models?
These are from the company Macrocosm, and they're just called balls. Let's see if it can focus right on one of their faces there.
There you go.
Look at that.
All right.
Very, very nice. It's like a cross between squigs and mad balls for any fellow children of the 80s out there who would remember those.
Are they cheaper than GW squigs?
I'm pretty sure they are.
Nice.
So I've got 2 units of them on the painting table, and then I've also got the likes of my very own Jeff right here, who's not been even put on a base yet. So I want to get him done. And I've still got Cecil over here as well, who I haven't finished yet. My very own Cecil needs to be painted fully.
Oh, I didn't know you had one.
Well, it's not the same model, but maybe it'll just be his cousin.
That's cool.
So what are you working on? Anything you want to show us?
Just about finished my 5 Sisters of Thorn. And these are exceptionally detailed models. You're not going to see this, aren't you? Because of what I'm wearing. You see that?
Move it closer. Try and put it in front of your face so the camera will focus on that instead of your face. I think we get the overall gist of it without seeing it too well. You'll have to put up a picture on the Facebook group.
I know what to do.
Oh dear.
How about this?
We can see that pretty well, actually. Yeah, that's pretty good. You can just about see the eyeball.
Yeah, they're awesome. And then I'm just working on just random stuff, really. Little ogre firebelly. In fact, a big ogre firebelly. I've just
Very
done
tasty.
flames and his painted mask face. Should be fun to use him. And I've painted 10 elf woodcutter guys. Can't remember what they're called.
Are you going to show us one of those?
Yeah, I can do. These look, I've got a really nice colour scheme for these guys. So they've come out pretty cool.
Ooh.
See that?
Yes.
Yeah, mate.
So when are you next going to use some of these models and actually play a game or two?
Yeah. Well, I don't know whether to put them on round bases. They're all on squares at the minute. So that's a big job, I guess. But yeah, I would like to use my, what are they called? They're called Wanderers, the elves now.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to use my Wanderers.
By the way, Dreaming Cyborg thinks that you should hold that thing in front of your face at all times.
That's a good idea. Maybe I should. Maybe
you should become a man of mystery and just start wearing a mask on every show.
Yeah. Do you think I'd still be overlooked?
I don't know. You never know. You've got to try something to stand out, though, haven't you? Because at the moment, you're just kind of fading into obscurity beneath the stars that are shining brighter.
Yeah. Or maybe I should just produce some content. That might help.
That would be a good start. You still haven't done that laundry special that you promised Mickey.
No, I do. If you don't know, I actually am an incredibly busy person. But despite that, I really ought to do more stuff.
Well, here's a question. How many minutes do you spend per day doing laundry-related activities?
I did 2 hours of ironing on Sunday.
Well, why not have a camera pointing at you while you're ironing and talk about wargaming-related topics to the camera?
If that's what you guys want, then I will do that. See how
You
it
could
goes.
call it Strike While the Iron is Hot.
Well, let's straighten things out.
Yeah, if anyone wants to see the Remington Ironing talk show, then let us know in the chat now.
Straight talking with Remington. I like that. Right, I'm coming down with a little bit of a cold.
It certainly sounds like it.
Yeah.
So I think to show you a bit of mercy, we should start to wrap this one up. So I'll just see what people have been saying here on that suggestion. Mickey Genver would very much like to see that. Talk and Iron or Pillow Talk. Newbie says bring back Pillow Talk. Rural
Pillow
Goblin
Talk.
says Iron Gamer.
Hello Talk will return with guests. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
That would be interesting.
Who's in bed with Remington?
Holy Backyard Prophet says Steam Iron, please. The Steam Iron Dwarven, perhaps. Let's see, any other suggestions here? Dreaming Cyborg thinks you should be doing laundry on camera as well, I think. We've got, yeah, it's pretty unanimous. Everyone wants to see the Remington ironing show. Can you promise that that's going to become a thing?
I can try. I have a week off soon, so maybe I could do that. Although
So
I
you
say
could
that
spend your week off perfecting the art of ironing while talking.
I could, or I could play more Vermintide.
Oh, I think you know that the people would rather see you iron.
They would, but I would rather slaughter hundreds and hundreds of Skaven.
Well, surely you can fit both into a week off.
I can try. I've kind of, I don't know. I think I've exhausted Warhammer Total War now. I haven't played it in a while.
We still need to record a couple of battles, don't we?
Yeah, as I said to you before, the problem is that the battles are over really quickly. Like they're over in like 5 minutes, which could be a good thing, I suppose.
Is that because you have all your troops facing the wrong way and they just get mown down?
No, it's just that you can't slow it down very much. You can only half speed it, and once things get into combat, you see a lot of tactics videos where they talk about it afterwards. But when you're actually fighting, micromanaging and moving around the board, moving things, activating spells and whatnot, it's actually very, very fast, the whole thing. So the amount of tactics actually involved when you're playing it in real time is debatable, I think. It's usually a slugfest, basically.
Well, if anyone has any reason to dispute that, then you can let us know, probably in the permanent comments, because we're going to wrap this one up now. So, Mr. Remington, I assume you've got your instrument handy. And I'm going to get up the wonderful image for this week's show, showing us in all our glory with our heads mounted on Stormcast, the brand new miniatures there.
I have no idea what I'm going to sing, by the way.
I think you should sing something about Stormcast and how you're totally not bored of them.
All right, I'll try. Okay, what key should I do it in? Let's do G. I never do anything in G on this show.
10 seconds to think about possible lyrics for a minute, and I'll thank the audience for joining us yet again on the Andy and Rem Show. Don't forget to like the video, leave a permanent comment if you feel the need, and if you're not a member of the Facebook group already, there's a link in the description, so you should be over there post haste. Okay, I think that's enough thinking time, Mr. Music Man, so play us out.
Stormcast. Who doesn't like Stormcast? Stormcast. Who doesn't want more Stormcast? We're having a blast painting our Stormcasts. People say they all look the same with their big bodies and their full plate armor. Now who doesn't like big metal Stormcast? Who doesn't like big metal Stormcast? They all look the same That one's got a bow, that one's got a spear, that one's got a sword. Look right here, it's Stormcast. We can't get enough Stormcast.
Only 40 war scrolls.